This week has been absolutely wild for Nintendo Switch releases, but Cult of the Lamb has literally eclipsed every single one of them, which is wild, as even though I adore the game and can't believe how much you get for your money's worth, its port isn't great from what I've seen so far. But today we're not talking about Cult of the Lamb, we're talking about a game that released one day earlier that no one seems to be talking about. Apart from me technically 2 videos ago, but we're gonna ignore that. Today we are talking about Lost in Play, a game I have absolutely fallen in love with this week. And thank you to them for sending me the code. This game is unlike any cozy game I have talked about on this channel in the best possible way. And I have been obsessed with it. I have played this every single night since the day I downloaded it. Lost in Play sees you play as a brother and sister on an imagination-fueled journey back home. And oh boy, are their imaginations wild. I mean, look at him. Just look at him. And you can find this game on sale on the eShop for just under £18, which, considering how much of an experience this game is, I really don't think that price is too bad. One of my favorite parts of this game is where just for a moment, the imagined world will fade before your eyes and show you where the siblings actually are. Be it their house or the local park, you can see exactly where they got their inspiration for the part of the game you've just played. And it's just so wholesome to kind of see where their ideas came from. Now, this game has dialogue, it's just not in any conceivable language. Everything you need to know is shown to you with beautiful animations and incredible music that never makes a single moment of this game feel dull. I feel like this game perfectly encapsulates the beauty of childhood imagination. And for a game with no dialogue, it was actually surprisingly witty and funny. Once again, I would like you to perceive this guy. Thank you. Lost in Play is a point-and-click adventure game that sees you solve such a wide array of puzzles and mini-games. And even my arch nemesis, IKEA flat pack building. I literally cannot understand a single instruction from IKEA. How do people do it? I constantly found myself amazed at the sheer amount of range these puzzles had and how clever some of them were. And for me, one of the best parts of playing this game is I don't think I compromised anything by playing it on the Switch. And that's saying something. So often, if you only have the Nintendo Switch to game on, you get used to accepting that ports to the console probably aren't gonna look or play as well as they do on every other platform. But this game both looks and plays incredibly, and I actually feel like we're getting the full experience on the Switch. This game basically is like controlling a cartoon, but don't let the cartoon imagery make you think this game is for kids. My experience is anything to go by. I wouldn't say this is a kid's game. The puzzles are a little bit too tricky for that, I think. Or I'm just bad at this game. Could be either. Could be either. This had me stumped on a number of occasions. Some of the board game style puzzles really gave me trouble. I literally have a PhD in chemistry and I was defeated on a number of occasions by this game. Like all good point and click games, it does take a little getting used to. I don't really know how to explain it if you haven't played one before, but you have to kind of shift your logic slightly to get in the right line of thinking for these types of games. But it does introduce you to the mechanics bit by bit, so don't worry if this is your first point and click game. I've personally been a lover of point and click games as long as I can remember. I think they were one of the first games I ever played when I installed Steam. And to me, this is a near perfect example of a point and click game. That's how much I love it. My small gripe with some point and click games are when the solutions make absolutely no sense and when there would be almost no way to solve them without a walkthrough, which basically means you don't get any of the serotonin of figuring the puzzle out, which I'm not a fan of. But these puzzles have the perfect balance. They're hard enough that you don't always get it the first time you look at it and you have to take some time to seriously consider and figure it out, but not so hard that you feel like you need to get a wiki up just to make any sort of progress. There is also a little help icon if you get stuck. Now, I'm quite a stubborn person, so I only looked at it a few times, but I'd say 90% of the time they are helpful. I say 90% as there are a few board game puzzles that there's literally no way you can look up a walkthrough for, as the CPU you're against won't always make the same moves. But I never found myself exiting the game to figure out a puzzle. Everything I needed to figure out the puzzles I could find in the game and never had to load up a wiki. Thankfully. I don't know about you, but if I look up a walkthrough, I feel so bad inside, even though there should be absolutely no stigma to looking up walkthroughs because you should be able to enjoy a game. So how does this game actually run on the Switch? I said earlier how graphically, I don't think we've made any compromises whatsoever. One thing I was really worried about was using a controller for a point and click game. I think they've done a really good job at making sure that the controls translated well for a controller. There were only a few instances where I knew a mouse would have been better suited for the puzzle, but even then, it didn't take too long to get to grips with using a controller. And the game itself is really easy to control. It's really intuitive. There was only really one instance where the game didn't make it abundantly clear what you needed to do to move on, but even then, it didn't take me too long to figure it out. This game wasn't completely perfect though. I did have a few minor issues with it. I experienced a couple of bugs when I was playing it, mostly just animations. Like sometimes the characters would duplicate, and I did have one occasion where it kind of soft locked me, so I had to restart the game to make any sort of progress whatsoever. But none of these lost me any progress. It was just a bit inconvenient sometimes. So let's get on to the big problem I found about this game. I needed it to be longer. I loved it so much, but I felt so sad when I was getting to the end. I looked it up online and I think people said it was about a 6-hour game. I can definitely say I've got more than 6 hours out of it so far, but I don't think it's terribly long, which is kind of really sad. Overall, I can fully understand why this game has such raving reviews. It truly is beautiful and I've loved every second of playing it. It's rare that I enjoy being made to think, but this game somehow did that for me. It's one of those games that's kind of more than a game, and it's an experience. I just wish for the price we pay for it, it was just a smidgen longer. Let me know if you pick this game up on the comments down below. And if you want to see my review of the Nintendo Switch 5 years on, click this link right here. I'll see you next time. Bye.